Hello, and thank you very much for joining me in another episode of Women in Sport. I'm Rhian Evans, and this week we're looking at netball.
Hi, I'm Lydia Shaw and I play wing defence.
I'm Mika Chen and I don't really have a position.
I'm Aalish, Bridson, I play goal attack.
And I'm Deborah Evans and I don't play any position at the moment.
Yeah, well, give us your position. You can't
All
say
right,
you
okay.
have to.
Do you want me to do a position, as in netball position?
Yeah.
All right, okay. I'm Deborah Evans and I play centre wing attack.
Let's start with your netball origin stories. We'll start with Lydia. So, because Lids, you started netball quite late, really, because a lot of people start it from primary school. But can you tell us what made you, because you were a big footballer, what made you make the transition over to the better side?
Yeah, so when I was about, I think it was year 11, my PE teachers kind of collared me and I filled in for a few games for Ballasalla originally. And after that, I carried on training with them. Then I played a full season. I think I played another season. And then when I got to sixth form, the competition was quite good. So we had the inter-schools, the tournament. So yeah, it was the competition that was really good. And there was a lot more participation. It was a lot more popular. So
is that why you chose to sort of focus solely on netball and kind of move away from football because there was more competition?
Yeah, I think for a bit I did completely focus on netball. I have gone back to football now and then, but even at uni I chose netball. So yeah, it has been my main sport recently.
What do your football friends think of that?
Oh, a lot of them disagree with it.
We'll move on quickly. Mika, over to you. Can you tell us what year you are in school?
I'm just moved up into year 10.
Okay, and so I'm assuming you play for a school team, but you also play for a team in the local league as well.
Yeah.
Who do you play for?
Well, I play for Barlow with school and I play for Thompson 3 in the senior league.
Okay, and how are you finding the senior league?
Well, it's a big step up from under 14s because I've played in under 17s before, but I've only played up. So this is my first year in under 17s. So it's a big step up from under 14s, but it does help you maximise your playing ability.
Absolutely. What's the biggest change, would you say, that you've noticed?
Well, it's a lot more competitive. The umpires don't hold back. And it's a lot more physical. But you have to learn to deal with that in netball because it is becoming a more physical sport.
Good answers. Aalish, over to you.
Yeah, started playing netball in primary school. I'm probably the typical story of a young netballer. Started playing netball in primary school, moved up to high school, and my friends were part of the Simcox Netball Club. They pulled me along one Monday, and that's kind of the rest is history. Played with Simcox ever since then, so for, I don't know, maybe 9-10 years now. Play with them for under 14s. There was no under 17s league at the time with them, so I jumped straight into the senior division, and then progressed then to the Island team, umpiring, coaching. But yeah, I'd say more of a typical netballer, the classic one. She's done it since she was 5, so.
Do you prefer playing, coaching, or umpiring? If you had to marry, snog, avoid
snog, avoid. I'd marry playing, probably. Oh gosh. Snog, coaching, avoid umpiring.
Lots of people say that.
It's all good. I think you get different things out of the different options. I've absolutely loved playing netball since forever. I think I love umpiring because you get to be quite authoritative, take no messing on a Sunday morning. But coaching, I think it's good, giving back, for somebody that had been coached for so long to give back and coach other people. I think it's just a different kettle of fish.
And one of the young players you coach is sat next to you.
Yeah, she
Mika.
is. Very good. No, the under 17s, I'm helping out Emma Williams with coaching those at the moment, and they're fantastic. A great bunch of girls.
Mum?
Can I say, I started playing netball when you played in pleated gym skirts and polo shirts. That's how old I am. So when I played in school, obviously. When we moved to the Isle of Man, Jane Reynolds got me involved.
Shout
And sorry,
go on.
Jane Reynolds got me involved, and we kind of played as a mums and daughters team because there was Jane and Katie played, and myself and you, and then, gosh, there was another lady played, I can't remember her name now, but she played with her daughter, and it was just wonderful, and we played for Balasala, and kind of stuck with it since then. I mean, it's been a great way of coming to the island as an older person, it's been a great way of making friends and, you know, being involved in something that is really part of the community.
Besides the pleated skirts and polo shirts, what would you say is the main difference between netball when you first started playing it to how it is now?
It's a much faster game, much faster, much more physical. I think in some ways it's more technical. I mean, we played outside, and when I first played in the Isle of Man, I remember playing outside in all sorts of weather at Castle Rushen. That was all, you always wanted to be on the indoor court, but invariably we were outdoors. And I think netball is now much more an indoor game, and the speed at which it's played is phenomenal now. I mean, people don't realise just how fast the game is and how fast that ball is moving.
I used to hate playing outdoors in school. Mika, do you still play outdoors for Ballacameen?
Well,
I genuinely don't know if they still have outdoor games.
Because we have different teams, like different levels of teams. Like the higher teams will usually be the ones to get to play on the indoor court. But yeah, in PE and stuff, we do play outside.
Yeah, I just remember not being able to feel my fingers and just having the ball hit them and feeling like they were shattering like glass.
Yeah, I remembered we played Ramsey Grammar once outdoors, like in hail. It was absolutely horrific.
It's absolutely brutal.
I know. Like, just out there in your skimpy little netball dress as well, just legs and arms absolutely battered by the wind, the rain and the hail. Like, if there was any, you know, motivation for me to make sure I was in the A team, it was the indoor courts.
We played King Bill's in Storm Callum. Like
in Storm Callum?
In King, like at the college, it's by like the airport,
child
by
abuse,
the sea.
isn't it?
Yeah, we were out because they don't have an indoor court that's big enough. They do have a really old one, I think, but we all had to play outdoors. Everyone was freezing. They were all like, we're used to the cold. Everyone was crying by the end of it.
Tears frozen down their cheeks. I do applaud people who do play outside sports. Chris Cave has been trying to get me to join his mixed hockey team, and I'm just immediately like, no. I'll snowboard, but I won't play hockey in shorts in winter.
I'll snowboard through ice, but I won't play. How's it mean on this team? You know, if you're anything lower than first team, you'd have to pack your scarf and hat, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
For the fixtures in the afternoon.
Playing in gloves. What would all of you say is the most annoying netball stereotype?
Ooh.
I think, well, maybe that it's boring. You know, I think it's quite frustrating, particularly from males. They say, oh, netball's boring. What can you even do? Like, you can't run with the ball. That must be so boring. But I think, you know, like Debbie was saying, the speed of the game has just, like, come on phenomenally. I think in the past 5-10 years, that it's not just a boring game anymore. I think, you know, 10 seconds on the clock, you can easily get the ball from one end down to the other end to convert it. And a game can change so quickly within a matter of 15 minutes. So, you know, it's not boring.
The physicality as well is insane in comparison to what, you know, how it was when we started in primary school.
I think that men generally have this idea, they compare netball with basketball, and they have this idea that it's all, oh, don't touch me, you know, I can't be physical, or I can't contact you. You know, it is a non-contact sport, but it's now a contested sport, so you can contest for the ball, and I think that has made a huge difference. I think also the idea that netball is just full of loopy passes that are just floated over. You know, they're not, absolutely not. The ball is absolutely whizzed down the court with some great speed and great power. And the force with which some people are taking the ball is incredible. You know, they are really, it's a really athletic sport. You cannot play netball at a good level unless you are athletic.
I think it is frustrating when people say that it's not competitive or it's not physical. Like, it definitely is competitive, and it's hard work. Not only are you running, sprinting, you've also got to be clever about it and think about the game.
you've in the past been a prime example of how physical netball can be.
I know, you've got to put it all out on the court.
Sticking with you, Lydia, so Mika told us the step up from the under-14s to the senior league. How did you find playing on the island in comparison to playing for your club team in Liverpool, but also for your uni team?
I think playing on the island, because there's not as much of a competition as there is in Liverpool, I think there's a step up because you're playing different teams each week. Even like on a Wednesday, we play different teams every Wednesday. We play different teams every Sunday. So not only is it good competition, it's something different. Like they've got to change their tactics, we've got to change ours. Whereas over here, you know who you're playing, you know who you're playing against, the exact player. You know what they're like, So it is a lot of different playing, and it's exciting to see what they're going to bring. Are they going to be good? It's going to be a boring game. It is a lot different, but it's good competition, and it's nice seeing so many people involved across. Everyone like loves it. Like you've always got a team. There's always good competition. So,
I found with netball across at uni, and Mika, I'm sure you'll find this if you go to uni, it's a lot more scrappy, to put it bluntly. Like, because you have physical games over here, but at uni I thought it was very scrappy. And I remember one of my favourite stories that I'm sure Bronwyn, if she's listening, will remember this. We were playing a team, and we'd played them in the first half of the season, and we'd beaten them by 2, and it was from like 2 intercepts in like the dying minutes of the game, as you said. So they hated us, and then we travelled to them, and I was in the toilet cubicle. I texted you this on the day, and the girls came in from the other team and obviously didn't know I was in there, and were like, oh, they've only got 7 players, and their centre's like 30 years old, so you'll absolutely smash them.
I remember
so I was just sat in the like toilet cubicle, like lifting my feet up off the floor, like, oh, hope they don't see me. And then I came out, I was like, I'm gonna smash them.
Yeah.
And went out, and they had a squad of 12, and we did only have 7. Ended up getting concussion in that game, but we beat them by like more than we did the first time. And I just found like that is the kind of attitude with netball girls across can be absolutely brutal. And here on Sunday had a lovely player who was like, how's your ankle? I won't get too close to you. And I was just like, thank you.
Yeah, it's also because like in uni, obviously you have like the different rivalries. You've got the North rivalry, the South rivalry. So if we play somewhere, we're traveling. I mean, normally obviously we have the North division, but even like varsity, like we're playing uni of, it's like we will put everything out on there to win because we don't like
Mika, who, I'm going to ask everyone this question, but who is your favourite player? Who do you take inspiration from? It can be someone local, or it can be an England player, it can be an anyone player.
Well, from England, it's got to be Jade Clark, hasn't it?
Of course.
Helen Housby as well. I just think they play really well. And then, but locally, there's just so many players because, like, obviously it is nice having idols from in like higher up, but just to see like the local play is sometimes so inspiring. Like I remember watching your school final against Castle Rushen.
That was so good.
That was back in year 7, and I remember you got player of the match, and then. Just watching you guys win Netball Europe, all the ball girls, like we just couldn't, because obviously you're not allowed to clap. So every time, especially I remember against the Cayman Islands and then against Ireland, just everybody was clapping, and then we'd get glared at, and then we'd just sit on our hands so that we couldn't stop clapping.
That's like the hardest point of being part of being a ball girl, I think. Just being completely deadpan.
Yeah, you can't do anything. So yeah, I think all the players on the Netball Europe team inspired, not just me, but I think all the ball girls, everybody watching who was younger.
Lids, do you have a favourite player? Me.
Yeah, Rhian Evans. No, I'm trying to think. I think I like players who, they really contest for the ball and quite like physical. I love watching like physical play. I'm trying to think who. Obviously I would say Jade Clark, but I don't want everyone to say Jade Clark. I don't want to get too much.
Look, 2 seats to your left.
Aalish. No, I don't.
It's like you don't have to have an answer. That's fine.
I can't think.
Moving on.
Come back to me.
Aalish?
My idol has since day dot been Jo Harton. Ever since
She comes across so cool.
Do you know what? I think it's her persona. I think it's the headband. It's just everything. But when she came over to coach the Island squad, and I must have been about 10, 11. I missed my family holiday to stay on Island with my grandparents to make sure that I could be coached by her and Jay Clark. And Jo taught me how to roll off a defender in the circle. And honestly, ever since then, I'm like, I love you. I love you so much. Like, you are my number one.
That's ace. She does so many cool trick look away passes into the circle as well.
I think as well, like, you know, getting the ball on the edge of the D and just be like, you know what? No, I'm going to sink this one. Like, don't care. It's just, I don't know, just her whole persona. I'm like, yeah, I want to be you. I want to play with you. I want to play against you. Like, yeah.
I remember watching in the Commonwealth Games where Bruce had hold of her, was trying to mark the ball, and she grabbed hold of Jo Harton's bib to like steady herself, and Harton like grabbed her arm and like shoved it off, and then Bruce like gave her a push, and everyone was like, ooh, and Harton's face was just like, you know, bring it sort of thing. It was the sort of thing I would imagine you doing, Lids. It was ace.
You know who I do love watching? I love watching Jiva Mentor. I think she's amazing on court. She just puts everything on court and she goes for everything. And yeah, she's one to watch.
She is indeed. Mum?
Oh gosh, do you know, so many players over the years. Obviously, Jade is fabulous and love watching her play. Maria Toutayer is just like
she's
poetry.
been your favourite for
ages.
She's
just like poetry, isn't she?
Yeah,
her movement, everything about her is just absolutely fabulous. And I love watching her. In the centre court, I like watching Serena Guthrie. I love watching Laura Langman. I love the way she really kind of attacks the game and bosses that centre court about. So I really enjoy watching her play as well.
I like watching Serena Guthrie as well. She just goes for everything. She's like a whippet, isn't she, on the ball?
Yeah.
It's the commitment. It's the absolute commitment to the ball and the game. And anybody who plays with that level of passion on the court, but also skill, because these are skilled players and not just, you know, committed and crashing into everybody. I just think they're fabulous to watch, and they inspire even me at my age to think, you know, I can watch them and think, oh God, I'm going to try that. You know, let's look while they're sorry.
I can play for England.
Well, perhaps not that, but just, you know, the way they move or just little things they do, you think, oh yeah, really good.
I think all the England players, I think, you know, like having seen them progress so much over the past like 5 years, but also coming from a place of like limited funding, I think just like helps me idolise, you know, those sevens on the court like so much more. Like, it is great to see the likes of Maria Folau playing. Like, she's always been fantastic, but I think like the drive and the tenacity behind like the England Roses is just like something else, you know, to keep all of that going, training like 5 days a week when you're also working full time, you know, and to aspire to be world number one, like, it just takes something else. It's mad.
Can I just throw a name in there that you guys have probably never heard of? It's a lady called Irene van Dijk. She brilliant. She played at international level until she was well into her mid-40s, and she was just phenomenal. And a great player, a clean player, and, you know, one of those players who just kind of, no matter what was happening, typical goal shoot, you know, you tend to get knocked around a bit in the circle. Just so focused. I love watching her play.
She came out of retirement a couple of weeks ago, didn't she?
Did she?
Yeah,
oh, wow.
yeah, to play in the Comic Relief charity match.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
I watched it.
Jennifer Saunders, of course, called for England after those performances.
But yeah, when they announced it, because they hadn't announced everyone that was playing yet, and the commentator said it maybe half an hour before, like, oh, Irene van Dijk's come out of retirement, and I like grabbed my mum. I was like, you're joking! I was like, what? like her walk on the court, I'm there with my phone, like filming her the whole time. Like, I love you.
I think Nat Haythorne play as well is just.
Mum likes Nat Haythorne.
I always thought. Like, I was always like, I think Chelsea Pittman's much better choice. But after watching the World Cup...
Yeah, she made a big impact, didn't she?
Yeah, she was so pivotal in the mid-court. And just, I think all the England players are just so... it's just a whole nother level. Like watching them in the World Cup was just something else. And then as well, like back to Netball Europe, just watching the games and just seeing them, like, is different to seeing it on TV. It inspires you to a whole nother level, and it just shows how much the sport's grown in the last few years.
Well, that is a perfect segue onto my next question, actually, because I was going to say, what do you think has been the main catalyst that has blown netball up so dramatically and seemingly so quickly? Or was there a quiet build-up for years and years and years that kind of went unnoticed?
Commonwealth gold.
So the Commonwealth gold is the obvious,
I feel like it's been on the rise for a while, to be honest, you know, particularly in Australia and New Zealand, you know, with the promotion of the ANZ League and the invitation to have like UK nationals going out to play in there, I think definitely helped to build the profile. But I think netball over there has definitely been on the rise for a fair few years. But I think in the UK, holding big tournaments over there, I mean, the first live netball that I watched was the World Fast Fives. It's not Fast Fives anymore, it's Fast Sevens. And that was in Liverpool when I was 15. The first time I'd seen, you know, really competitive netball. But I think, you know, holding a big event like that definitely helps to take netball like further on into the market. And I think there's more opportunities to play now. It's not so, you know, tailored specifically to certain types of people. Like there's walk-in netball, there's normal netball, there's, gosh, I don't even know what it's called, it's like indoor netball and it's on AstroTurf or something. I don't know. I think because there's now something for everyone, it's hard not to get involved. I think that's definitely helped with the self-promotion of the sport.
I think also certainly the development of the Super League in the UK has been a massive promoter of netball at a high level netball. I mean, it's always been played at kind of local level, you know, Saturday morning netball, Sunday morning netball. It's always been a huge participation sport. But I do think it being promoted on the television or shown weekly on the television, albeit, you know, on not on terrestrial TV, and now that it is shown on terrestrial TV on BBC, that's a huge thing, because, you know, having it on free television means it's there for everybody to see. And I do think being on the television really raises the profile of the sport.
No, massively. If it's easily accessible, people want what's easy to watch, and I think you have to be really keen on something to actively go and search for it. So there could be thousands of people that are huge fans of football purely because it's always been on, because it's there. Yeah. It's always been on in the background, and it grows on you and it grows on you and it grows on you. And when you don't have that, like with women's basketball and netball so much, although hopefully that's starting to change, why would you find it to watch it?
I mean, netball's great TV. It's easy to understand. You've got the ball, you get it in the net, you get a point. So, you know, it's not a complicated sport. Perhaps some of the umpiring decisions people may take a while to understand, but then if you've got good commentators, as they have now, and when you watch during the World Cup, there will be a little explanation come up of what that call was,
and, they did
and
that
why
really
that call
well.
was made. It's actually a fabulous spectator sport for TV. It translates really well.
Who was the main commentator for the World Cup? I loved her. She's not a netballer. I think she's an ex.
Catherine Merrick.
Yeah.
I think she does Super League, doesn't she, as well?
She gets so like excited, and there's nothing more that, like, I love excited commentators. You know, when they're just like, "Oh God," like it probably gets me like, "Yes, I'm gonna go play netball this Sunday." Like, so yeah, I thought they did a great job with that. Apparently, I can't remember who told me. Maybe it was you. I'm not sure. But in Australia, apparently netball is like the third biggest male sport, which is incredible.
There's an England men's team as well, which isn't promoted as much as...
Why do you think it's not promoted?
I don't know. Maybe because it's just starting. I'm not sure. But men's netball is on the rise just as much as female netball.
I mean, it was identified at the Netball Europe Conference Council last June, the idea of mixed netball and promoting men's netball. I think from a Netball Europe perspective, if I remember rightly, it was thought that actually they needed to just keep the focus on women and women's sport at this moment. But I don't think it's too far behind before we get male leagues competing all over the country.
Yeah.
Yeah, even the coverage like was good, like over on the World Cup. It was great coverage, wasn't it? And like even I walked in, my dad would be watching the netball, and I was like,
That's
what's
ace.
going on here? But it's good because it like he was learning the rules, and it's good for netball, isn't it? If everyone can get involved.
Yeah.
So
Sorry, Mika.
Also, with the rise of netball, obviously you've got more and more juniors coming in, and then when they grow up, they're the people who are coming into the senior leagues and who are going to be playing at the higher levels. So the fact that it's on TV and the fact that people are watching, so if a mum's watching, then her kids, and then I've seen kids at like the games on a Sunday morning.
I think there's more to like aim towards now. Like I think if I think back to when I was in the junior league for the Isle of Man, like there wasn't really much recognition for winning. Like there was nothing to aim for. Likewise, progression to seniors, like okay, great, you can win the cup or you can win the league, but there isn't really much for you to aim towards. Whereas now, okay, in the juniors you're doing really well at under 14s, so you get to play up into the under 17s. Likewise, under 17s you can play up into the seniors, and then when you're at that highly competitive level, you have got the development squads to aim towards. And then after that, once you're in that, it's looking towards, well, how can you get the team ready for the Commonwealth like qualifiers? There's just so much more that people can be excited about now, which definitely helps to get more people involved in the sport.
Going back to men playing netball, playing devil's advocate, I mean, I think it's great that any man taking interest in netball. I was speaking to a friend's husband who's also a friend at their at a barbecue yesterday, and he just asked me how netball was going, and he said, I love it, I can't wait for the Christmas tournament. And it's so pleasant to hear that. But on the other side of things, I can imagine some women being like, well, men have had every other sport and this is ours, so why do we need to? But then I guess you don't want to become the thing that you don't like about another person.
I do think it's all right I think it's okay for women to say, this is our sport and you can play, but it is our sport. And I can really understand the idea of, developing men's netball. You wouldn't want to do that at the expense of further developing women's netball. But I think you're right. I think we wouldn't want to exclude men.
I agree. I think, why do we have to involve men for it to become a big sport? Yeah. Why can't just women make it a big sport?
I think it's totally fine to encourage men to play, but I think I agree in the sense that you wouldn't want the focus to then be on developing a men's team. No. So you're not like men shouldn't play netball. Like you'd never say that, but it is a women's sport. But also we were talking about this. I don't know if my facts are right on this, so I apologise if they're wrong. But apparently netball isn't allowed in the Olympics because it's
it's got to be played by men.
It's a single sex game.
I have some. I've done some research, girls.
Okay, go for it.
So apparently, did we know that there are over 20 million people playing netball over the world in 72 countries? That's amazing. Netball is played on all the continents, but throughout Europe. I didn't realise this. Sweden, France, Germany, Switzerland, Italy, Luxembourg, Norway, Spain, Turkey, Belgium all have netball leagues.
I follow them on Instagram.
Do you?
Yeah. I'm going to try and make some ties there for the Isle of Man.
But I think one of the problems was, well, if my research is correct, that up to 1995, the International Olympic Committee did not recognise netball as a sport. Now, since then, there's been a lot of lobbying going on. And in 1995, they finally recognised netball as a proper sport, proper participation and kind of elite sport. Now, apparently, within any Olympic Games, there's a maximum of 28 sports that can take part in any Olympic Games. So I guess there are some sports that are pretty well entrenched in there and would be very difficult to move out. So I guess for netball to be included, another sport would have to be excluded. Now, for the 2020 and the 2024 Olympics, netball was on the list for consideration. But for both of them, we didn't even make it past the first round. Now, I find that amazing when one of the goals of the International Olympic Committee is to have equal participation of men and women within the Olympics. At the moment, female participation is about 44% of the Olympic competitors. Throw netball in there, you are easily
Level the playing
gonna
field.
meet your 50%. But apparently the predominance of Commonwealth countries as netball countries is one of the things that is holding back netball from being included, because the International Olympic Committee say, well, one of those Commonwealth countries is going to walk away with the gold. But do you know there's loads of other sports you could say that about, isn't there? I mean, if you think about ice hockey in the Winter Olympics, or basketball when that was first played in the Olympics, it was always going to be either America or Russia winning it, wasn't it? I really can't see that as a valid argument for excluding
It's not actually, because when you say ice hockey, like Canada are all over ice hockey, America are all over basketball. So I
Russia
think it's
as well.
a bit of a silly argument, really. But
So, I mean, hopefully strides have been made. And I think, we've got some really influential lobbyists lobbying the INF, International Netball Federation, lobbies persistently to get netball included. It would be great if, I don't know, have we ever been a demonstration sport? I don't think we have. If we were kind of included as like a demonstration sport within the Olympics, I think that would be a step forward to us actually being accepted as a participating sport.
I think it just frustrates me, like as a collective group of people that play a sport that we love a lot, what more can you be doing to kind of push this further? It's you've shown the levels of participation across the country. It's frustrating. It's almost well, what more can I be doing to make this more than it should be? And in reality, the answer is none. Sometimes decisions just fall outside of other people's controls. But
what do you think is that final barrier, do you reckon?
I think it's definitely going in the right direction, but for it to go all the way, I feel like one more World Cup and it's pretty much there, in my opinion, because the turnout at the last World Cup and all the support that was there, and then obviously the Commonwealth Games, I think part of the issue is maybe there being a bit of a gap in the rankings of just between teams, because I think there's like an obvious top 5, and then under that it's kind of a bit like two different levels. There's like, obviously it's so contested in those top 5, but then when you go down a bit in the rankings, it's not as...
It's quite a big drop.
Yeah.
I think if Netball Europe, and I know they want to expand, they want to include as many European countries playing at competition level as they possibly can, and I know they're very active in trying to achieve this. I think if we can get more countries playing with national teams, especially in Europe, I think that starts to eat away at that Commonwealth argument. And I think one of the ways, if we can eat away at that argument and show that so many other countries, like that netball's played in America, netball's played in Argentina, so it's played in South America as well. I think that would be one way in which netball could promote its own cause.
We need to have like a worldwide netball march, like the climate march. You heard it here first. Let's go back to you guys as players. What is your secret favourite position? So if you didn't play the position you play, where would you want to be?
Oh, I've got to say goal attack. I do love shooting, yeah. When we sometimes we swap positions around and train, and just mainly as a joke, because it has to be a joke because I can't shoot. But no, I do love getting it in the circle and just passing it about, and because obviously I defend, so I take that quite seriously. So when I do go into the attacking circle, you can just have a bit of a joke and
Fun and games.
Yeah, fun and games. Yeah.
It always makes me laugh whenever I think about it. When we went away on, I think all of us were there apart from you, Mika. We went away on a trip to play this team in Liverpool, and I had a camera and I panned, so I was watching this team warming up, and it was a really sort of like strategic warm up that they were doing, and then I just panned the camera like across the court, and there's Gemma in the middle circle, like trying to fling the ball into the net, and everyone just like, ah! Yeah. Mika, what position is your secret favourite?
Well, I'm a bit of a jack of all trades, to be honest, because I just get put wherever. Obviously, I don't shoot, but other than that, I'll play anywhere. But I think because I am more of a defensive player, I'll usually play in defence, but I really, really love playing in wing attack. It's just more creative and it's less regulated. Like, you can do more of your own with attack rather than defence, where you've got a certain thing that you have to do. And there's not very, like there is, but there's not very many ways of intercepting a ball. But there is of passing into the circle.
Aalish?
I've always wanted to be centre. I don't know why. And every time on a Tuesday at training, if there's ever like a free for all with the bibs, like I absolutely put myself there and just think I'm fantastic. Really not. Can't really play
you at centre.
I can't really play anything but shooter, but okay.
No, I love about shooting. What? The applaud you get after you put it in. You don't
From
get that
both,
anywhere else.
from both teams. Right, okay, just before I come to you, that is typical netball stereotype. The opposition clapping when you get the ball in, and I know it's like a netball tradition, a funny netball tradition, and I never realised that. It was quite odd. And I remember playing in Canada in a mixed league with my boyfriend at the time and our friends, and I clapped when the opposition scored, and he was like, "Why are you clapping?" And I was like, "I don't know." I really don't know. It's such a polite thing, but I don't think they do it in any other sport. Like, you don't see anyone else clapping the opposition for like beating you. Well done. But yeah, Mum, what's your favourite secret position?
I think, like Lydia, it would have to be goal attack, because that would take me back to my school netball days. And Jane Callin, who lives on the island, was the goal shooter. How weird is this? We both went to school in Blackpool. We both ended up on the Isle of Man. And Jane Callin, she was Jane Guilfoyle at the time, she was goal shooter and I was goal attack. And I used to love playing goal attack to Jane's goal shooter. So secretly, I would want to be a goal attack. Yeah, I want to be Aalish.
Do you know what though? I think if I was given the chance to change my position, I probably would. I think I only play this one because I've played it for so long and it's like fear of the unknown. But I actually hate shooting. I hate it. Like the pressure. I think, knowing that whether you miss or get them in can win or lose you the game is honestly the worst feeling ever. I think throwback to school, and we had the school finals, it was always so closely contested before Lydia came along. So closely contested between Castle Rushen and King William's College. It was like the southern rivalry, and also it was who would end up in the final together. And like my last 3 years at school playing in the finals, like it was so close, and honestly before my first shot every time I'd be shaking like a leaf. I'd just be like, if I miss this, I'm gonna look like a fool because there's crowds everywhere, and then what am I gonna do then? But
you can never see that on your face on court. I mean, I know you're talking about high school, but you never see it on your face now.
Oh, honestly, I'm cool on the outset, but honestly, like inside, I'm going mad. Especially if I've missed like 3 in a row, and I'm like, everybody on this court hates me. Like, I am losing the game.
I feel like this is like a secret shout out to Simcox being like, yeah, I hate goal attack. I will play anywhere else. What do you do on court if you've missed, say, 5 shots in a row? What do you do to mentally get yourself back?
Do you know what? Yeah, literally, I ripped my bib off. I'm looking to Claire on the sideline like, can I come off? Or no, I think you have to have a thick skin as a shooter. Like if you took all your missed shots personally, or like silly remarks of someone shouting rebounds, like yeah, I know, I need to get my rebounds. Like you just never play the game ever again. Like you just have to learn to take things on the chin. And it sounds so cheesy, but visualization like really is key, and like utilizing those 3 seconds is like key in that circle. Like, okay, you're knackered, so you need the first second to like regain your balance and get yourself set up. Like you need the second to be like, right, okay, I can do this, and the final one is like picturing it going in. And it sounds so cheesy, but it actually works. You know, if you can see in your head that what you're doing is right, it feels so much nicer when you release the ball. But yeah, I think it's you just can't take things too seriously when you're a shooter. Otherwise, you just walk yourself into a massive ball of emotions and never ever pick up the ball ever again.
Mm-hmm. I totally agree with visualization, that we teach it in like freestyle boarding. People say, you know, look to the end of the box and visualize yourself coming off it, and it does work. You know. So speaking of rebounds, what are the funniest and most common netball phrases?
Definitely here if you need.
I knew you were going to say that one. Again, it's so polite.
Here if you need, just pass me it. That's a secret way of saying you need to release the ball.
Yeah.
What else?
Arms,
definitely.
Yeah.
if you're on a court and I'm on the sideline, it's normally forwards, like move forwards.
Or if you're from Ballasalla, yep.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah, because I'm so used to playing football, I always say like square.
Yeah.
Everyone's like, what?
Yeah, so do I.
I'm a square, because it just means
Well, it's
a lot bit across the
lateral in
court.
netball, isn't it?
And a real classic, of course, move.
Yeah.
Yeah, we all
Pass
know to
ahead.
do that.
Pass.
Pass, yes. Catch it.
The weirdest one I've ever had is put your shoe back on. Because I was playing, like, my first ever seniors match, my shoe just came clean off. I didn't notice, so I was just running down the court. And then everybody was shouting at me.
You literally ran out of your shoes.
Yeah, the shoe just came off and it was just sat at the edge of the court, and I didn't notice till the next centre pass.
You
Oh my
didn't
God.
notice.
No, I didn't know. I just kept running.
So in the zone.
Great
Yeah.
snatch.
I have never heard that one. But,
No.
but I will.
Really?
I'll try and try and
come
say
down
it
and watch
once
a game next
game
week
now.
for you.
I find myself kind of being a bit zombified on court and just hearing. I heard myself say it today, and I was just like, "You sound like an idiot, Rhian. Stop saying that." Just when someone does something good, I'm like, "Nice."
I always say shame. Like, oh, shame, Rhian, shame.
I think as an umpire, the one thing that always gets me was when you make a call and you can hear somebody from the side or somebody from the court go, or ooh.
Another common one is, that was not contact.
I remember Mum laughing during Netball Europe, the first one, where I'd just get too tired to shout. So if someone was free, I'd just point, like, and be like, not me, her. Rachel's
all the time.
You just look at them and go,
I'm so bad for like giving the game away. Like we'll be playing and I'm like, right, you like that way, you go that way. No, like pass the ball like over there. The defenders must be like, we're just gonna wait and see where she's pointing.
what she
Then we're gonna go.
Okay, have any of you had any severe on-court rage moments? So the classic one that I mentioned in basketball that I've seen most is people like slamming the ball down on the court when they're annoyed.
I've never done it myself. I think I'm quite good to respect the umpires being an umpire.
Well, my next question is going to be asking you two, as umpires, what's the worst example of court rage you've had thrown at you for
Do you
a
know what?
decision?
Sometimes it's people's faces, like whether they feel like they've had something called against them wrongly or not had something called. Like it's very readable. Like I know exactly what you want to swear at me right now. I know. Like
I think a couple of seasons ago, just it wasn't somebody questioning me, it was somebody questioning the other umpire, which and it was during the game and not in a pleasant way. And usually you don't interfere with the other umpire, and of course teacher mode kind of kicks in, and it's no, that's enough, stop, not having that. And because you feel as an older umpire, I feel quite protective towards younger umpires because people are kind of doing this on a Sunday morning, putting themselves out there, and
we don't have that many umpires really. It's so the
to
people
be
that
quite honest,
do.
you know, if that stands out in my, if you think of all the years I've been playing, that one thing stands out in my mind because things like this happen so infrequently. I think you're right. I think people do pull faces, but then sometimes I don't think they're pulling faces at the umpire. I think they're almost pulling faces at themselves, and you know, certainly things like that. I as an umpire don't take personally.
No.
But I think generally, you know, people are quite good. People are quite good, really.
Yeah, I think it's difficult because you want to have that respect for the umpire.
Go on,
but then
Liz, what have you done?
No, you also you do get frustrated at yourself.
You do.
Yeah.
Not just the umpire, especially on court. You get frustrated, and sometimes it looks like it is aimed at the umpire, but sometimes there's calls, and you just think that was not.
Yeah.
And it is frustrating, but then I think umpires straight away do think it's towards them, but most of the time it's just towards the game, especially if it's a big game and you want to win. I think a classic what I do is say if someone contacts me, I'll pick the ball up, and if someone's stood there, I'll go to do it. So like, in other words, you need to get out of my way because we need to carry on with this game.
I haven't had very many moments, I don't think, because obviously, well, I think the biggest match I've ever played is like a year 9 school final. So I'd like to think of myself as a mild player, but I think that's just because I haven't had very many moments where the games are that intense. Because
I think you're quite a chilled person, though. You always come across very,
I mean, I'm really bad for I'm very hot-tempered, but it'll be over in 10 seconds. So usually I just keep it to myself, and then I'll just forget about it.
You think you're a bad person?
No, I think it builds with me. Like, I'm quite good to write it off, but like if it's persistent, like eventually I just snap. Like I remember once in a school final, it was tightly contested between me and my goal defence, and I'm not saying I wasn't giving it back because I absolutely was, but like at a penalty, like nudging me when I was taking my shot, and I remember just being like gritting my teeth. It was down at their end, so it was their crowd, and I was like, can she give me some space? Like shouting. And it was Marie Skillicorn that was umpiring me at the time, and she was just like, yes, like goal defence, you have to move away. And I was like, like I hate it. But like as an umpire, I think maybe once I've had somebody like directly call me out for not agreeing with me. But I think as an island, like we're quite good for respecting. I think most people are players and umpires as well, so you know
you understand both sides.
Yeah, like you only give out if you can take it as well. But yeah, somebody came up to me after a game once and was like, her calls I agree with, yours I did not. I was like, well, next time I won't umpire, like, and you won't have a game.
Yeah, jeez, that's shocking.
Another thing with the senior leagues as well, it's a lot more people want to win. Do you know what I mean? Like it's a lot more competitive than it was in under 14s, for obvious reasons, really. Like under 14s is competitive, and you do want to win your league, but at the end of the day, like it's just you and your friends having a laugh on a Sunday afternoon. But then when you go up and you start playing with adults, you can't really have that aspect of fooling around because you are on a team with adults, and obviously you don't want to be the kids on their team who the kids. We have to play with these kids on a Sunday morning and they ruin everything for us. So I think everybody's really taken that step up because you don't want to be the annoying ones who let the team down.
I'd always play alongside you, Mika.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
I remember my very first game in the Liverpool League. It was my very first game. I didn't know anyone. I hadn't trained with the team much, and I was just playing as I usually would. And this woman, I think I got in her way a bit, or went for an intercept. She came this close to my face, squared up to me, and like threatened me, swore at me.
Oh my word.
I went home after the game like, well, that's the Liverpool. First ever game, I was like, am I doing
what
something
did you say
wrong?
back?
I mean, there wasn't really time.
We
had a scrap. It was my very first time. I didn't really know anyone, so I was like, right, I'm not gonna say anything. Just get on with the game. Yeah, it was just kind of a bit of a shock, but I don't know whether like they weren't used to kind of people going in for intercepts.
Yeah, maybe.
It's just the sort of professional attitude I expect from you, Lydia.
I know. I mean, I didn't rise to it.
On the
So
island,
proud.
everyone knows everyone, though.
Yeah,
so
so
you can't really be like that because your neighbour Jane will be best friends with someone who
Yeah,
just
yeah.
pushed. And
Very true.
You just can't do it, can you? I think that's one of the reasons why, because it'll get round to like every other umpire that you're the disrespectful one, and then you'll get called.
That's very true, yeah. You can build up a reputation very easily, I think.
I hold grudges as well. Like as a player and as an umpire, like if you've irritated me like playing against you, like that'll stick with me for the rest of forever. Likewise, like if you've been pulling faces at me when I've been umpiring, like I don't know. I just go in there like with a vengeance next time. Like,
I'm just imagining. Obviously, this would never happen
Who
because you're like the
list?
ultimate
What?
professional. But I can just imagine you hating this player, the ball being down the complete opposite side of the court, she's nowhere near it, and you just blowing your whistle and being like, I don't know, 3 feet back here. You know? Yeah.
It's oh no, it's horrible, isn't it? But you know, I hold a grudge, not against them personally, like just on the court. If it's people that I play against, I'm just like, you know what? Today we'll give it a little bit more.
Yeah, well, people can be completely different when they step on court, can't they? You go into like Hulk mode.
It's like you.
Me?
Yeah,
No.
Yeah.
Just punch my way through the court door. I'm here. Okay, moving away from rage, what's the most nervous you've ever been before a game?
This is a bit pathetic, but year 9 school final was so nerve-wracking.
It's not pathetic. Did you win?
No.
Who were you playing against?
King Bills.
Okay, so you got to beat them this year now.
Yeah, we do. Or like first senior game as well is just so different. Yeah, I'd say those two because we worked so hard for that school final, and it just all went a bit wrong, didn't it, Miss?
It did. We just didn't quite do ourselves.
Yes.
Look, do you know, as a school team, they are the most fabulous group of girls. And I think, do you know, some days it's just not your day. And that day was just not our day. And I think it just got in everybody's head and that you didn't do yourselves justice.
Thing is, it was
at all,
goal
but-
for goal till half time, and then people came off, injuries, things like that. Everybody had to be shifted around. I think there was somebody playing, like I hadn't trained in goal defence the whole season, and I got put in goal defence, and then one of the subs had to go in a position she wasn't in. It just didn't work out for us.
But you know, you actually, your heads didn't go down. You gave absolutely everything for that second half on the courts. And I know that certainly Miss Hicks, Miss Ryder, Miss Hall and myself, we were enormously proud of every single one of you. So.
Yeah, we'll get them this year.
Yeah, everyone loves a comeback story. It
Yeah.
always makes it way more exciting.
Thing is, it's been them us for alternating years now, so should be our turn this year.
Maybe it's Castle Russian's turn.
No.
Devil's advocate.
Who's next? Who most nervous you've ever been, Mum?
Years ago, I'm talking, must be like 6 or 7 years ago possibly, we played Simcox. I think it was I'm sure it was a cup final, and neither Ashley nor Jane were able to play, so I'm kind of thinking they might have been like on maternity leave, as it were, from netball, and I had to play centre, and I was so nervous before the game. I had an absolute shocker, and I remember coming off at half time and lying on the floor with my hands over my eyes thinking, I'm losing us this game, and it was, I think it was the nerves before the game that got to me, and throughout the game I wasn't able to pick myself up and turn it into, you know, because I'm generally quite positive on court, and I don't doubt myself, but I doubted myself before I went on, and I let it impact on the whole of the game, and we lost.
Oh, that's
I'll see you later.
It's a horrible.
I'll get
It's a horrible feeling, that though, and I don't
Yeah.
know how you learn from that. How you learn to go through experiencing nerves getting the better of you, and having the worst case scenario come of it. How you come back from it without psyching yourself out.
I think once the emotion of the game is over and you sit and rationalise how you played and how those nerves affected you, if you can look at it like that in a very rational way, you can start to look at how you would minimise the impact of that in future. And also, I think in that game situation, all you focus on is it's me. When it's not, 7 people win a game and 7 people lose a game. But I think with not having Jane or Ash on the court with me, I think, you know, I didn't perform well.
For me, there's been loads of games where before I've been really nervous. Probably the most nervous, I played up to Reds last year. I mean, horror story. It just gets worse. But they'd drawn with Ballarat in their first game, so it was literally the last game of the season, and it was going to be whoever wins the league. You know, it was the first time I played up for Reds that season. I was nervous, you know, having to fill the shoes of somebody that was already injured. You know, there was a lot of pressure, and I think I put too much pressure on myself. But honestly, I'd gone for about 5 nervous weeks before the match, like proper nervous sweating in the warm-up and stuff. And then eventually, I did fold like a deck chair and snap my knee. But you know,
Fold like a deck chair is actually quite a good description. I remember watching it.
I literally just sat down like the 3 legs of man. Like there was no coming back from that. But yeah, that's probably the most nervous I've ever been, for no reason, just for a little highly competitive Prem game. But
it shows how much we all love it, I guess, doesn't it? How much it means to you. Lids?
I think weirdly, I've played in bigger games, but it's got to be the Ballacomine v Castle.
Knew you were going to say that.
School final. It's got to be because, as Debs has said already, I'm used to playing with people who I kind of rely on to set the tone for the game, like Ashley, Jane. I rely on them to kind of, if I'm nervous, like obviously I'll put my all onto court, but I kind of go with the vibes they're going with. Do you know what I mean? But I feel like in that final, it was me and Gemma kind of like running the team. We'd been the ones asking for training, early training, after school training. So I feel like we hadn't done all that work to go out there and lose. So I was definitely so nervous, but without trying to show that I was. So I was just sat there quietly listening to Eminem with my headphones in. But yeah, we had to kind of keep our cool, but definitely.
I think everybody was looking to you as well. The rest of the team were looking to you. I think just about everybody who knew the netball final was going on in the school was looking to you. So you not only had the pressure of having to go out and perform, knowing that you had to play well against a very, very strong Castle Rushen team, but then it was almost like the pressure was heaped on because everybody else expected you to go out and be amazing. And you were amazing. The whole team was amazing.
I think deep down I knew everyone was looking to me, but I didn't want to admit it to myself. But yeah, there was a lot of pressure on us that game. All I had running through my head was 21 years.
Yeah, don't, because I still cry over that. But no, I think there is a lot of pressure on school games. You know, it's not just like that year group that feels it, like, because obviously there's year 11, 12 and 13 that play in it, and it's so hyped up in the school. Like everybody puts so much pressure on you when you go on that court. Like the first time I played in the school final, I was in year 11. I cried at half time. Like I was in floods. No, honestly, I was in floods of tears. Like because I just couldn't handle it. And I remember like Jodie Aston, the teacher at the time, pulled me aside and she was like, "Man up." She was like, "Come on, man up, get it together."
Yeah.
But like, there's just you feel the pressure that everybody else has put on you. Like it's mad.
Yeah. I think that was the most nervous I've ever been before a game, was watching your balcony Castle Rushen. I was sat in the van just like, oh my God, I'm going to be sick.
Yeah, we were a little gaggle of year 7s. They weren't even going to take us, but they took us as a treat because we won, like, you know, the 4-minute aside tournament in year 7. We all got on the bus. Everyone was so nervous. We had like little signs that we'd made. I can't even imagine how much pressure you must have felt if we were all on the edge of our
Things
seats.
like that go such a long way though. I always get nervous performing in front of people, and yet I think I usually perform at my best when someone is there to watch, apart from when the boys came over from Chill Factor. Like they knew I was into netball, and like 4 of the guys from Chill came over, and I was like, we're the best team at the island. This was at a point where Ballasala just won it consistently, and I think Route 1 was actually closest to us, and I was like, we've won every game, like we're the best team on the island, come down and watch a match. And then we lost. And 7 years later, anytime I mention netball, they're like, do you remember when you lost when we came to visit?
Yeah, it's so hard when people come to watch you as well. Specifically, you feel like they've come to watch you win, and that's all they want to see. And it was when all the year 9 boys came in. There was like random people, like friends I knew, but you know, I haven't seen for ages, had come to watch it. There was like the librarian on the side, and it was just scary. Like we wanted to win it for everyone, and obviously all the hours I should put in for coaching, we were like, oh well, I mean, we've got no choice but to win.
Yeah, she was actually, we were watching her from the side, from the mats they'd laid out for us, because there were so many people, there weren't even enough benches or seats. So we were sat on the mats right at the very front, and Miss Hall was like, she was so into it. Like, we'd never seen her like this before because she didn't take our year 17. But when there's a game on, she was so into it. Like, you guys were losing at one point, I think. She was nearly crying. We felt so bad. We were like, come on, Bella.
I know.
It was a fantastic game. I'm just really sorry I didn't record all of it. I had the camera set up to film all of it. And like the end was so great, obviously, with the celebration, everyone running on court. And then I go and like find out it stopped filming halfway through the game.
Did you charge the camera?
It's just like, I don't know what happened. Like someone must have come along and broken it. Reed, did you charge it? Yeah. Yeah, I did.
Silence.
Put the pictures up all around school as well. Like,
Yeah, that was
congratulations,
cool.
senior netball team. Like, all the pictures, and there was posters all around. And then tutor, we all had like massive celebrations that you guys had won. It was a big deal.
Would you say, I'm going to ask all of you this, was that your career highlight, your favourite career moment so far?
No. It was a big one, but I'd say... I like to say the last Netball Open Challenge was, although I didn't get to finish it. Just as a team together, it was just amazing winning it on home grounds and watching everyone play, so amazing. And yeah, the effort we put into it, it was just amazing to watch.
And the amount of people that put so much effort into like supporting.
Yeah, the way it was set up and
Yeah, like
people volunteering, it was amazing that they'd actually put so much time into something like that.
They absolutely smashed it. Mika?
Well, I haven't really had much of a career yet, but I think when I got into the Island development squad, I was like, oh my god. And then I got into the under-17s one, and I just couldn't believe it. I think that was my highlight because I haven't really played very many big matches so far.
Good choice. Aalish?
I don't really know. It definitely wasn't my highlight, I'll tell you that for a fact. But I don't know. Probably my last senior final, I think. It's one of the bittersweet moments. Like, winning's fantastic. Carrying on that legacy was great. Like, it was my final year at school. I'd captained the team, and I think it's just rewarding to see all of that hard work pay off. Yeah, I'd probably say that was my best moment. There's been, all moments are great, but for me personally, probably that.
I think as a player, probably the year we played as Balla D, and then we were playing outside at that point, and we played the whole season and we won the league. And there was myself and Jane and yourself and Katie. It was that group of people, and I think others from school, I'm sure Emma played some games, and yeah, there were other girls from school who filled in, and it was just a great season. It was a really, really enjoyable season. It's years ago, but it stands out still.
I've just got a couple more questions. I won't keep you too much longer. Of course, Lydia and Aalish have kind of mentioned slightly about injuries. Why do you think so many people seem to be getting injured in netball now? And it's not just here because, what's her name? Is it Maddie Brown in the ANZ League has just gone off with an ACL injury? Do you think there's always been injuries in netball that we haven't noticed as much, or has something changed quite dramatically in the last couple of years that is causing this surge? It feels like it does feel like a surge of injuries.
I feel like everywhere. I mean, particularly on the Isle of Man with the sudden development of the Isle of Man netball, but I think standards have improved dramatically everywhere.
Quickly as well.
Yeah, quite quick. And I don't think everybody was quite physically prepared for that. I mean, I definitely, mine was kind of unfortunate. Lydia's was very unfortunate. But yeah, I think, everybody's playing at a level for so long to then suddenly to expect people to do double that without preparing. I think maybe that's where that's coming from, particularly for the UK girls who you see going off to play in the ANZ League. ANZ League, fantastic, massive, probably a step up from the Super League, and they're kind of being, pushed into the deep end rather quickly. So I don't know if maybe people aren't prepared for it, but I feel like injuries have always been here, and it's just because netball's so publicised now that it's kind of more common to hear about them, maybe.
Yeah.
I'd agree with Aalish on that,
Yeah.
definitely. ACL injuries, any type of knee or ankle injury have always been around in netball. I think because netball players are becoming more household names and it's more reported, we're more aware of these injuries occurring. I also agree, I think in terms of on the island, the intensity of netball has increased, hundreds and hundreds of fold, and the demands on the body of all players have risen in terms of what you put into your game, and preparation is key. Absolutely, the strength and conditioning work that everybody does now hopefully is going to help prevent those injuries. We're never going to get rid of those injuries. They are what they are. They're part of the sport. But yeah, I think it's because netball is so much more in the news. That's why we hear about the injuries, or that's why we notice the injuries more.
And females are more predisposed to ACL injuries. Unfortunately, our hips are a bit wider than the rest of our body, so you're always landing in that off position. Likewise, they found it has a correlation between your menstrual cycle and injury rates as well, which is, another reason why I love being a female.
Women in sport.
Yeah, it definitely is standard as well. Like how much more physical it is, and like the pressure you are putting on like your body. Like the jumping, pivoting, twisting, and I do want to say also I mean, I don't really know because it was professional. Like Beth Cobden, she obviously had 2 ACL injuries.
I think she just got back from her ACL and then did it again, didn't she?
I do want to say lack of kind of preparation. Like, I don't think I was fully fit. I wasn't doing S&C. And I feel like that all had an impact.
Yeah,
absolutely.
S&C
preparation, isn't it?
Yeah. It's the key to playing netball.
Definitely.
Absolutely.
But as someone, I can't remember who said they can't think of any other sport where you stop dead, and it's so fast now, so fast. And I guess if you are sprinting and then you immediately stop and your knees are going sideways,
Yeah, but also, I mean, if you think most of the injuries that we've seen in sport have come as a result of landings and jumpings, and the speed and the power that people are putting into their elevations, and then the impact when you come down, it's
all about control, isn't it?
Yeah. Jumping and landing, just as important as throwing and catching in netball.
It's getting better though, because we've all got like strength and conditioning programs now, and obviously in training they make us do stretches, and then we've had it drilled into us how important it is to tie your shoes properly and how important it is to be landing softly, and we've been taught how to land and all that. So it's definitely on the rise, all this injury prevention stuff after all these big names like Beth Cobden obviously did her ACL.
That's good because I remember being in school and doing sport. Like I think I would always do a little bit of a warm up, but not really with netball. I'd warm up with athletics, but with netball I'd literally just turn up and then go home. So there was like no warm up, no warm down, so
especially Sunday morning netball. I mean, I turn up, say you've got a 9 a.m. game, you turn up at 5 to 9 and you play at 9,
but there isn't any kind of facility to warm up, is there? Because all the courts are crammed. So
you end up going on and you're sprinting with
that's a good point.
You just have to be clever though, don't you? Like, it's not just about preparation, the 15 minutes before your game, it's the preparation like the rest of the week. Like if you're going hard on a Thursday, Friday, Saturday, like of course your body's not in a fit state to play a full game of netball on a Sunday. So I think it's like you've just got to be clever sometimes as well, don't you?
Okay, last 2 questions. Does anyone have a pre-game routine or a post-game routine?
I think for me, because normally it's a case of wake up, go to Tennessee for 9, and then I'm either playing, then I'm umpiring, or I'm umpiring, then I'm playing, then I have the juniors. There's not really time for me to have routine. But in a standard, like if there was a big game on, you're getting prepped. I have like Big Brothers on my playlist. Like I'm just sat there like getting in the zone.
Oh yeah, that was a good choice.
It's a great one. But then it's like head to toe stretching. Then I'll just go and like shoot by myself, and I just won't speak to anybody. I'm like, I need to get my head right, and then I'm good to go.
If it's a big game, I like to listen to Lose Yourself by Eminem. And I'm also very particular about my shoes. So I've got to have my socks lined up, and then with my shoes I take a while to like make sure the lace, like they've got to be perfectly comfy to go on. And I can't forget the hairspray. I've got to plenty of hairspray to make me go faster.
Have you ever done that? I saw girls hairspraying their face so they can play with makeup on. Have you seen that?
No, I mean, I've hairsprayed my shoes before for more grip.
Yeah.
No, never my face. I mean, I'm not that particular about keeping my makeup perfect when I'm playing.
Yeah.
I'm not one to wear makeup when I play though. I sweat too much.
Yeah, same.
Unless it's a big crowd.
Mika?
I wear, well, if I've done really well in the game, like played really well, and I'm wearing, I don't know, like a certain pair of shorts under my dress, or like I have these one pair of socks that I like to wear, but because Sunday mornings are like really busy, and then Saturdays as well, I've got like a certain order that I pack my bag in. So even though I'll have like football first, it'll always be the football boots on the bottom, and then it'll be like the netball dress, and then the shoes. It's really weird, but like I have like the clothes have to be in a certain order, and I've like done experiments, and my matches just don't go well if it's not packed like that.
Well, it makes a huge difference, doesn't it? Like what mentally gets you there. You know, if it works, it works.
Not sure about pre-match routines. Post-match routine usually involves lying prostrate on the floor somewhere for about half an hour, saying, "Yeah, just leave me, I'm fine," because I'm shattered, or going home. Starting the bath running and then thinking I'll just close my eyes for 2 minutes, and then waking up with a jolt because I've had a nap and the bath's about to overflow or something. Yes.
I don't think in netball, like you, Mika, I try my best not to get superstitious about stuff, but sometimes I'll be like, oh, I had a really good game in those socks. But I actively try not to do that now. But I felt myself today have like a moment where I was like, I haven't got my calf sleeve, and I don't need it to play. Yeah. But now it's become like psychologically, I need to have it on now. And I'm sure I'll like taper off it, but it's still early days. And also I kind of like it as a sense of, people know that something's up. I've got like strapping on my right shoulder and my calf sleeve on my right ankle. So, and people on the Isle of Man are nice. So I'm always like, stay away.
I always do in the warm-up as well. Like, I'm not a shooter, but I just take 3 shots and I'm like, you've got 3 shots. And if you don't get 1 of the 3 in, then you're going to lose. And it works
pressure,
every time.
Pressure.
No, but genuinely, if I miss, like the match just goes down the drain. I don't know what it is.
Yeah. And final question, what is your favourite thing about netball?
I think for me now, it's just being with so many fabulous girls. I mean, certainly in my position with the island teams, I've gone from knowing people as acquaintances to having friends, people I consider friends and people I care about. And that's fabulous for me because they're all young people and they keep me young with the crazy things they say and do. So.
I think my favourite bit is probably, like the social side, the friends you make. Like netball's kind of like a big thing for me. Like I train almost daily, especially at uni, and playing. Like it sounds stupid, but you have like a purpose, to play, and there's always a goal and like an end goal. So yeah, I just love it.
I mean, I never used to like netball that much because I played so many other sports. Like I used to play tennis, I still do swim, then there's football, but it never used to really be like something that I'd enjoy it, but I wouldn't.
It wasn't a priority.
Yeah, but I don't know, because I'm naturally like a very energetic and fidgety person. Just the intensity of it just always gets me going. Like it's just a way to let everything out, and then hopefully I can sit still, even though that's not happened today. But yeah, it's just such a good, fast, intense game, and I think that's what made me kind of progress in how much I liked it over other sports.
I think the social side as well. Like the nature of the game, it's a team sport. You're constantly with a group of people, like-minded people doing the same thing that you enjoy. But as well, I've always used netball as like a stress reliever for me. So like I train or play like 3-4 times a week. Like after an intense day at work, like there is nothing better than going out and just running about on a court, letting off all that energy from the rest of the day, and you can go home and you're like, yeah, I feel okay now. Like I feel great. But yeah, it's just like you can talk to people that understand what you're going through. like when you're on the court and you're getting frustrated, someone there like patting you on the back, it's like, yeah, I know, you've got this. I think it's just, yes, such a nice sport.
Keeps you out of trouble.
Yeah, it does. No riffraff.
Yeah.
No, I think I totally agree with the social side. The first time I went to uni, I very much would just show up to games and then go home, and played for a few teams actually in England where I would just show up, play, and then go home. But it's only since taking it seriously, kind of, because it's always been something in the background for me that I always felt kind of, not in a obnoxious way, just felt quite natural. So then to start taking it seriously, what I actually noticed was the companionship that comes with taking a team sport seriously. And it was only with the Island team and the longer squads that it just makes you realise what a nice feeling it is to go on court and know that 6 of the players and the people on the bench have got your back. It's a really, really nice thing. And yeah, I've become so close to all of you, basically. It's really nice. Yeah. And it doesn't feel like there's quite as much sort of segregation in the leagues now. I feel really comfortable going over and giving, people hugs from other teams. And I think I always would have thought I would have said something about the physicality or the sport itself, but no, I think that's topped it actually for me. Anyway, let's on that happy children's TV note, we'll leave it there for this episode. So thank you very much. It's been a really good one.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.